All right, what's good, man? Clint Westwood in the house.
What is going on?
Just another day, man. Living a life, living a
That's it.
dream.
Doing it live.
Yeah, yeah, right. I had lost track of time. I was in the middle of scarfing down lunch,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wanted to have you on to kind of go through DigiByte with this Digi-Dollar, maybe in a format that's easier for everyone to understand. For both of us to go back and forth through it with any other questions or try to beat this up because really everything I've thrown at it, yet to break it, really. Um, but I guess before we get into DigiByte and DigiDollar, something that I'm trying to illustrate to a lot of other people is, is that asset divided by asset equals value, in that it doesn't matter what the asset is. Asset divided by asset equals value. So when you study the wealthy, and what they do is they sell the overvalued asset and then they purchase the undervalued asset and then they just sit on it. So just to show what I'm doing is a 1 troy ounce gold bar. So currently worth $5,000. So it's a Year of the Snake. So 2013 bar by Ohio Precious Metals. So what I'm doing with this is I'm just going to be illustrating $5,000 or 1 ounce gold bar to go into DigiByte at 0.004. And I'm going to show yet again, because this is my third cycle. I'm going to illustrate again how to turn $5,000 into $250,000. And that's just DigiByte at 20 cents. So that's my goal. And that's my goal with Digi-Dollar, actually, is to take profit out of DigiByte, really, for that matter, out of any other crypto, to be moved into DigiByte as well, to then take profit through the Digi-Dollar and not incur any capital gain taxes, because it's a loan to yourself from within your own wallet. So there is zero capital gains taxes on a loan. So by giving yourself a loan for a predetermined period of time, as low as 30 days and maximum of 10 years. So my goal, I'm looking at the 3-year and the 5-year. There is no 4-year on the Digi-Dollar as far as a time lock. It's held within a contract, like I said, within your own wallet, completely decentralized. So there is zero third party in this. It's not like having to, send off my DigiByte or my Bitcoin, even, or my Litecoin or whatever coin, to a third party for them to take custody of that, and then for them to issue me said loan in order to do that. So that way I don't release my coins. And here's the other beautiful thing, is that you don't default on it. So there is no default. If you missed a 3-year time lock or a 5-year time lock on your holdings, it's not like there are monthly payments that have to be done. It's none of that. And then, if you exceed the 5 years and you go 5 years, 9 months, there is no penalty on that as well. And it's designed in a way that will give the incentive for people to just leave it within the time lock. Well, there is no early exiting out of the time lock. So you can't do, but what there is you can then also sell it on the open market to someone else who wants to, buy you out of that position. So let's say, for instance, you do a $50,000 loan to yourself, but yet you don't have 50,000 worth of Digi-Dollars to unlock it. You can then turn around and sell that to someone else who does have that. Then the original loan is paid, and then then the remaining balance of it, I don't know, whatever. Say you want to offer someone $1,000 or $2,000 to buy out your contract, you would then be allowed to do so. So you would get all the original loan up front, but let's say that your DigiByte is now 10x in value, or just say 2x in value. So now you have that amount of equity in the asset, and instead of losing that asset, you're then able to transfer it to someone else, like I said, for a nominal fee, $1,000, $2,000, because you can't afford to unlock that contract. You can sell it to someone else who can, and then you're given that amount of appreciation on top of the original loan that you took to yourself, and everyone's happy. I'm floored. I think that this is going to be revolutionary, or it is revolutionary. This is the first of its kind. Nothing else like this does exist, where you're loaning to yourself at 0%. What do you think? Have you had
I
time
like that.
over it, or?
Yeah, I've looked at it a little bit, and I still try to get my head around it. I'm internalizing it more as I go. So let's take a real life scenario and maybe fill in the blanks for a lot of people who don't get it. So like right now, you've got DigiByte at 0.004 cents, which is absolutely ridiculous. A steal. That's why Dave's showing you how to turn a gold bar into a lot of money. So okay, so let's say you do that. All right. And let's, for argument's sake, let's just say, well, okay, I took the gold in, I got 1,000,000 DigiByte, just for easy numbers. So
1.25.
1.25 is what it's going to be. Okay, so you got 1.25, and you sit on that. It goes to 20 cents. You're at $250,000 at that point.
Yep.
On a $5,000 investment. And really, it's a ratio thing that we can get into later. You're taking an ounce of gold, getting, and then that ratio is going to change because, well, somebody might hold that out, that 1 ounce of gold and say, "Oh man, look at me! It's worth 20 grand, man. I 4x'd. I'm winning." Well, Dave, he took that at $5,000 and put it into 1.25 million DigiByte. Well, if DigiByte goes to 20 cents, you got 20,000. Dave's got 250,000. So at that point, he's looking, and you're feeling good because you did, 4 times the money. Well, yeah, leverage.
Well, I've already 4x'd, and I'm just selling it at spot. So if anybody wants to buy gold at spot, you can buy DigiByte at crypto.com within the United States. So just go. I don't have any affiliate links or whatever. They have a very easy to follow UI on user interface on their app. So you can just download the crypto.com app and create an account and buy DigiByte, and by all means, get an ounce of gold at spot.
There you go.
But I want DigiByte for it.
Yeah.
And current value is 1.25 million. 1,250,000 DigiByte. So yeah, if you want an ounce of gold at spot, that's how. And just send it to me. I'll send you the tracking on the gold bar. So, but yeah, I've already 4x'd really on this, in metals, whether it be gold or silver. And so right now I'm doing this really just to illustrate me selling an ounce of gold that is now worth $5,000 and turning that 5,000 into $250,000 by illustrating how to sell an overvalued asset and purchase the undervalued asset.
Nope, agree. And that's an important thing because, like you said, hey, I already did well in this asset. How better can I do in this asset given, where it's at now? And then you're looking at something that's extremely undervalued right now in DigiByte at 0.004. And all you got to do is look at the charts. You look at the last 2 cycles. I mean, it went to 15 cents, 18 cents. I mean, and you're just looking at this, hey, If it goes to 20 cents, which I think we both understand that given what DigiByte is and what's coming, that 20 cents is a very
Well,
realistic
and
number.
and and here's something else not a lot of people have been discussing is that, by being able to move from other crypto through a swap exchange or soon the DEX, the DigiDex, where you can go through a DEX and swap your Bitcoin or your Litecoin right there within a DEX and get DigiByte for it, and then do the time lock and get your Digi-Dollar, and then it's a loan to yourself. You can spend them as you wish. So my intention, I intend to buy more gold. So I intend to turn 1 ounce of gold into $250,000 worth of gold.
Yep.
So that's my goal.
Yeah, depending upon what it is there. Let's just run that out, and we'll do two things here. So we'll get back to the Digi-Dollar at that point, when it goes to 20 cents, how you would do that. And let's say gold goes crazy, things wheels come off and gold goes to $25,000, and then DigiByte's at $250,000. Well, you kind of 10x the ratio there. You took 1 ounce
I got
gold.
10 ounces of gold.
Right, all based on one with that trade.
Exactly.
And so how do you go about doing that then with DigiByte at that point? Let's assume you're at that point, you got $250,000 worth of DigiByte. It's worth 20 cents, that 1.25 million that you got for the 1 ounce of gold. So you're at that point now. How do you utilize Digi-Dollar at that point to go and buy some gold?
Okay, so right now it's only done within a core wallet. So the core, you have to run a core wallet in order to lock it up, sort of like MWeb with Litecoin, right? So for a while, it was only available to be done within the core wallet. Same thing here. You then create a contract within that core wallet, which is very easy. Jared has done a lot of work with the UI on that. And it's actually in testnet. So you can go and look at it. You can play with it. You can do practice contracts with it just to see how it functions and operates. And but there are different percentages because it's an over collateralized loan. It's not like, I have $250,000 and I get $250,000 out. It's not like that. So for 30 days, I believe it's 500%. That's to me, that's just like oh damn, the air conditioner just went out, or whatever, the car needs repair or whatever, just to be able to have that as, an emergency fund. And so like for myself, the 3-year is, I want to say it's 250% that I have to put up in order to take a loan. So, and for the 5-year, I want to say it's 225%.
Okay.
So, but now on the 10-year would be 200%. So that 250,000 on a 10-year would yield me $125,000 loan.
Okay, I got you. And then you got 10 years to make good on it, and you're making good to yourself. I mean, so okay, let's play this out. So you've got $250,000 worth of DigiByte. Hey, you know what? I want to take a 10-year loan on it or contract on it. I want 125,000 right now. Okay, so you get the 125,000, and because you're 200% collateralized, you get that 125,000. You then go out and you can buy easily, if gold's 25,000. Let's just say, hey, I can get 4 ounces and then a little bit more. Let's just say I go out and get 4 ounces of gold. So you 4x'd it. You borrowed the money from yourself. You got the gold, and then as far as fulfilling that contract within that 10-year period, kind of walk us through what happens there. What are your options as far as how that goes?
Well, I could either turn around and sell that contract on the open market, or I could wait until that time expires, and then I could then pay off that loan. Say I could go sell 2 ounces of gold at that time just to
Right.
pay back that original amount.
Uh-huh.
And it does not matter what the fiat value of the dollar does. So the value of the dollar could drop.
Mm-hmm.
It's still that amount of Digi-Dollars to then pay back the loan.
Okay.
So let's say we did it at $125,000 was the loan. Well,
Yeah.
it's then going to require $125,000 to pay back that loan.
Okay.
However, let's also say that the value of DigiByte has gone up,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just sitting there in equity. That's not able to be touched. You cannot dip into the contract early. And of course, somebody's calling me.
Right.
And everything is scattered everywhere, so I have no idea where my phone is.
It ain't easy saving the world, is it?
Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh, there it is. And of course it just ended. So sorry. I'm gonna turn my phone off.
There you go. So what happens is when you take that $125,000 loan, you get that in Digi-Dollars, which is pegged to the dollar price at the time. Well, at all times, for that matter.
Correct, but not the value of the dollar. If the dollar
Right.
goes down, it doesn't matter.
Right. The value of the dollar can go down and it doesn't matter. It's just the dollar itself, whatever that is. That's what you take out as in a loan at that time, and that's what you pay back in the future to reacquire the DigiByte that was locked up as collateral to get the loan.
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, that DigiByte, there's one thing there. What happens is that DigiByte that you use to mint Digi-Dollars that are dollar pegged, that DigiByte that you use to do that stays locked up during that contract term, not on the market, can't be used. It's in your wallet, under a
In your own
contract.
wallet with your own keys.
Yep. Okay. And you can't touch it. Nobody else can touch it. It's locked
Correct.
up until that gets fulfilled with the dollar amount that you originally borrowed has to
Well,
purchase
the time.
Digi-Dollars.
First is the time. First is
Mm-hmm.
the time. Second is then the amount of the loan that you took has to be repaid. And there's no like margin call or anything like that. They're not going to call the loan at exactly when that contract ends. If
Okay.
you exceed that amount even by a year, there are no penalties or extra fees or any of that other stuff.
Okay.
So, you could just the object here is just to leave it sit until it does accrue in value.
Right. Which it makes sense that it would, because as more people do this, they're locking up DigiByte, therefore making it more scarce, because you've got a total of 21 billion that can ever exist. That caps it in 2035. So you have a finite pool of it. As more people realize the value in this and say, hey, I want to hold it and I want to be able to take a loan for myself as the value increases, that's going to take more out of circulation. It's going to lock it up. I can foresee more people saying, hey, well, and you have to take it off an exchange. So if you got somebody out there that makes the trade like you're going to do, and they just leave it on crypto.com is sitting on that. You can't use that as collateral to create Digi-Dollars and take a loan. You need to
Correct.
take it into your wallet. So that would encourage people to custody it in their own wallet, therefore taking the supply away from exchanges, taking it out of circulation, making the available amount of DigiByte much lower because it's locked up. You can't get to it. So that would
Correct.
feed on itself, I would think, to increase the value of DigiByte just from the
Right.
standpoint of scarcity increases.
Exactly. When
Market
you
scarcity. Yeah.
constrict the supply, the value goes up. Correct.
Yep.
So not only that, and I threw it out there. I was like, this would be a useful tool for people within other communities, even from even Bitcoin or XRP or whomever, to take their profit in crypto, but moving that, selling that or trading that into DigiByte to then be able to take a loan out on it. Because here's the kicker, like for me. Okay, in the beginning of 2017, Bitcoin had just run to like $1,200, and I mean before that I was in Bitcoin years in the past, but my average was between $250 and $500 a Bitcoin. And I had sold 26 Bitcoin in January 2017 at $1,200 because I had already 4 or 5x'd, in value.
Yeah.
And my position at that time was, I can go buy gold.
Right.
With that. It's more gold that I would have as a DCA, a dollar cost average.
Right.
But now I've sold that 26 Bitcoin way back when, and I did that to pay off credit cards, and on stupid stuff like sodas and gasoline and whatever else and cigarettes at the gas station. I mean, it's like just whatever you throw on a credit card. And I'm just like blown away. I had 20 grand on a credit card or in credit card debt.
Right.
And with a little land yap that I took as well, 26 Bitcoin at $1,200. Mm-hmm. But then again, back then, who knew?
Yeah, right? We didn't know. I mean, we didn't. We had hope that it would, but I mean, there was still that, hey, right, man, I spent 10,000 on 2 pizzas. Well, no.
but imagine, right now is 2026. So imagine 2027, January, it's been 10 years. Imagine now I can go and I can unlock that 26 Bitcoin, okay, for the same value as for what I took for it. But yet I've accrued all this extra equity.
Right.
Because now I can't go buy 26 Bitcoin.
No.
So, and I'd never had to release it or, give it to a third party who then defaults on you and all kinds of fees left and right. So, and, I'm just, I'm blown away at this innovation.
Yeah, the more I hear about it, the more I feel it and get it and understand how important it is, especially going forward, because they're gonna, you look at things like Tether, you look at the stable coins that they create. There's no limit to that stuff. They can create as much as they want, and it just kind of replicates the fiat system that we currently have, which doesn't solve any problems. It just makes it easier as far as moving money around digitally. So it is more efficient from that aspect, but the problem is it's programmatically dangerous from the standpoint of how many times has Tether confiscated people's funds or locked people out of their wallets and that kind of thing. We're talking about a totally decentralized cryptocurrency that's been running since 2011 January. I mean, so
14.
14. I'm thinking Litecoin October, but 14 January. So you're 12 years in, right? I mean, 12 years nonstop running. I mean, that's proven itself, and it's not something that the government comes in and can leverage the founder or the organization running it, because it is a decentralized network. And so that gives you the security of that. And so using and utilizing that network over what they're going to foist upon you, with these other stable coins that are essentially just arms of government, and that's all they're going to be. So I mean, it's definitely very innovative, and I like the way it's a good choice. It's a good option, to be able to self-custody and take loans from yourself, whereas the other system.
Well, when I hear stable coin, and that's why I hate the term stable coin. This is a lot more than a stable coin. It's the first of its kind. When I hear stable coin, I hear CBDC.
Exactly.
Central bank digital currency, because
100%.
Well, of course, the CBDC and all, it was struck down in Congress and everything else. So let's rename it. Let's call it the Federal Reserve coin.
Basically, right? That's what it is.
Okay, right.
It's corporatized. It's a corporatized CBDC. Corporations.
Right. So we'll rename it to the Federal Reserve. It's not federal. It has no reserve. And, people will buy it. And it's like, just because you call it a stable coin does not mean that it actually is. Not only that, in code, it's identical to a CBDC in that those other parameters can be changed, where, yes, they can confiscate, they can shut it down, they can do these other things. The only difference is taking it from that third party of ownership, whether it be block one, with Tether, or to then, be owned and run by said government, like Facebook or Coinbase, for
Yep.
that matter, or
Yep.
whomever.
Exactly.
It would just be a corporate takeover
Right.
at that point.
Walmart,
That's the
Amazon,
only
name it.
difference. That's the only difference from a stable coin to a CBDC.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as that changes, they're gonna, here come the draconian laws. I mean, and just today in the Netherlands, I was chatting with Steak earlier. They passed they passed the legislation now for like 35 or 36% in the Netherlands on unrealized gains. First country to do it. Unrealized gains tax.
Wow.
Right. So now it's like, and Steak's got a child and everything else. So it's not like, me, where I can just up and move and go wherever. But now that's a whole other thing because of the ex-wife and the child. It's like, where do you go? You go to Portugal at 0% capital gains, or,
Yeah.
that's still 1,000 miles away. That's still like a 2.5, 3 hour flight.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unrealized gains should turn into unrealized taxes as well.
Right. Well, that's what that's what I've been discussing with Javier, about metals. Is that, the dollar price, the dollar actually went down in value, whereas the metal is still 1 ounce is still 1 ounce.
Right.
One Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. One DigiByte is still one DigiByte.
Yep.
Okay, but the dollar value the value of the dollar has gone down. So why then are they going to tax capital gains on metals at that point? And that's what is happening right now. I'm hearing it's like, I don't know, 25 or 27% long-term capital gains on metals. And it's like, well, how else do you win?
Yeah. Right. Right. Nothing
And
changed.
and it's like, okay, so the price of my groceries have gone up 4x. Okay. So let's take the price of gold, where, let's just call it just say $4,000, 4x from $1,000.
Right.
Just for instance. So are you gonna tax me from the difference between 4,000 and 5,000 on interest, on taxes, on capital gains taxes?
Right.
Because otherwise I would take it as a loss.
Well, exactly.
Can I write off the
inflation adjusted value?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I write off that inflation?
Right.
Because it's 4x'd on everything else as well.
Right. And that's your fault for printing all that money, and so they've created the monster. And so now we got to pay more to them because they've done that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, for the glory of Rome.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what it is. It's 100% what it is.
But if anyone is interested, let me try to pull it up right quick. You can also go to, let me do a stop screen, present, share screen. All right, you can go to digibyte.io to go learn more. Here it is here. And at the very top, you'll see, towards the right-hand side, you'll see Digi-Dollar. You just click on Digi-Dollar, and then it will go through everything about the Digi-Dollar. So it's digibyte.io/Digi-Dollar. You can go there and read all about the Digi-Dollar and what all this is going to encompass as far as time frames. So yeah, I'm just blown away, dude. I mean, like I said, even for other people in Bitcoin, like right now, if I hit a Bitcoin block, that's 3.125 Bitcoin. If I just move one Bitcoin in a DigiByte, that's like 16 million and some change DigiByte.
Yeah, it's
You know, and then what's that
Crazy.
going to be worth when I'm ready to lock that into a contract to take profit? So yeah, from other. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah, you're right
30
on that.
days, 3 months, 6 months. They show you each one of them. Let's see, was that correct? Yeah, 3 years is 250%, and 5 years is 225%. 7 years is 212%, and 10 years is 200%.
What is the trying to think, how does that term in real life scenario, how does that the length of that term affect things? Because you know, again, you could go past that term and not pay it back. So like you take a 10-year loan out, a 10-year contract, and let's say you get to year 12 and you have not fulfilled that contract. It doesn't affect the DigiByte that's locked up. I guess what are the reasons for having the different term lengths if there's no, you know, like you got to pay right now, you know, there's a deadline, there's no hard deadline. What is the thinking behind that?
Well, the thinking behind that, the incentive is for the person to leave it just locked in a contract
Longer.
until it accrues to said value,
Gotcha.
or appreciates in value. So that way, then there's not a flood
Right.
to come in and cause a Luna,
Uh-huh.
you
Right.
know, or mismanagement of funds or whatever. So again, we've seen so many rug pulls in crypto, and a lot of us, even in DigiByte, were sick of it.
Yeah.
So it's like we need a better option, a decentralized option, and here it
Sure.
is.
Yeah, it's so it sounds like it's more of a because you got different percentages based on the term that you lock it up. You're incentivized to lock it up longer so that you can
Well,
collateralize it
it's
less.
over collateralized.
Yeah,
So because you're locking up, like in my case, 225% or 250% for a three
right.
or a 5 year loan.
And there's no
And
penalty.
that's just me going based on a 4 year market cycle. I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe it's 5 years now. I don't know. It doesn't
sure.
matter to me. Um, but either
But
way, I mean, for crypto to for other crypto to even come in the Digi-Dollar to then take out a loan, I think that's an aspect that they weren't even prepared for.
yeah, that's a huge deal because people are going to see real value. That's the thing, you know, a lot of people you know, complain, well, what use case is there? And it's like, okay, um, you'll see the use case because if you have a blockchain offering this, other blockchains, especially if you've got a DEX or something, decentralized exchange, to where you can take your coins from a different blockchain, swap it into DigiByte easily, and then you can utilize this tool within DigiByte that nobody else is offering. I mean, that creates a demand for a real use case. I mean, a real life use case that has real life value. Um, let me ask one thing. So with these terms, let's say you take a 3-year term out and you say, "Oh, okay, I'm good. I'm going to pay it off in 2 years instead of three. No penalty,
Can't
no issue.
you
You
can't
can't do
you
that."
can't pay it
Okay, that's
off,
what I
and
was getting at.
you
Okay,
cannot pay it off early. It has
gotcha.
to exceed that time lock.
That makes sense then.
Once it's a time lock, it's a time lock. There's
That
no early repayment. There's none of that.
okay, therefore imposing the ability to making you hold it longer. And so that makes sense. No, and so you know that up front, you make that choice, and it's like you can, you know, just hold it and pay it off later. No, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Well, and my thing is like with Digi-Dollar, when I take profit out, that's why I want to work with a couple of friends that have other friends, like with Miles Franklin,
Hmm.
and to get. I know that like Miles Franklin, and I know that they accept crypto, but it would be really neat and awesome for them to be able to accept, DigiByte and Digi-Dollar as well, because that's exactly my intention. And I think a lot of other large investors in many other cryptos, once they get wind of this, are going to want to lock up just to take profit, and and then move into gold or silver, because like I said, it's asset divided by asset equals value.
Yeah.
And every time you go into a dollar, there's a taxable event.
Yep.
You know, the same thing like with the metals. When you sell your gold or your silver, now they're wanting to do capital gains on metals.
Yep.
You know, so it's like, okay, well, if I eliminate the dollar and I just go back and forth from crypto to gold and silver and
Right.
vice versa, that's what I intend to do.
Right.
Because last cycle, that's what did me extremely well. You know, I didn't experience that large pullback because what I had done is I had calculated all of my dollar cost average in over the years into crypto, and then I withdrew that from crypto and moved that right into gold and silver.
Yeah.
And you know, we all know now what it's done. So,
Right.
you know, I did all right.
Yeah, because it was undervalued then. I mean, you had silver at 20 in the 20s forever. I mean, and even lower, but I mean, you think about it, you could buy silver for 20, 25 bucks for so long, and we all knew it was undervalued.
Well,
Knew it
you
was.
see here again, it's the insurance is the reason why I purchased it,
Right.
because
Yeah.
the insurance to protect that amount of value,
Hmm.
because value and dollars are two totally different things. So to
Exactly.
protect that value, that purchasing power that I've received in profit from crypto, I moved that into metals to shield myself from the bear market.
Yeah. And that was a great move because that's what metals are there for. That's why gold and silver have been money forever, because it does store the value over time. And, in the long term, you can't go wrong with them.
And then it's just sell the overvalued asset, buy the undervalued
Yep.
asset, rinse and repeat.
Exactly. Yep.
So
That way
and
you're not
and like
even.
what you were saying as far as the ratios, now the ratios are going to be included on the decks.
No,
So now you're going to be
great.
able to see, that it's, 13,000 digibyte to one Litecoin, or however many to a Bitcoin, or however many to Ethereum and XRP and Theta and T Fuel, just so
Yeah.
that way you can then trade back and forth with it through DigiByte. For those of us who do ratio trades, like I'll explain it briefly. The highest I've seen DigiByte to Litecoin ratio is at 16,000 to 1.
It's about
My
right.
average is like 12 to 13,000 to 1, which is what it is now.
Yep.
So right now you sell your Litecoin, you buy DigiByte, you hold DigiByte until the ratio of DigiByte to Litecoin retraces back to like 6,000, 7,000, and you to one Litecoin, and then you sell the DigiByte back into Litecoin. I've 2x my portfolio 4 times now by doing that. And I know other people have done it before me, like yourself and
Yep.
Johnny Litecoin and
Yeah.
Mark Weems. I know many of y'all have been doing this for a while, and I was just floored that this gets exactly back to my point as far as the ratio trade, because asset divided by asset equals ratio, or
Yep.
equals value.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what it is. You look at something that's a stronger asset, and or vice versa. Something that's undervalued and weaker at the time, or appears weaker in comparison to the other asset, and then and again, do this with assets that you are confident and comfortable holding. I wouldn't be doing it with other things. I wouldn't be. Only the assets. I mean, every asset has a ratio. It could be gold to cattle, silver to land, whatever it is, whatever you're comfortable holding, whether it's a digital asset, physical asset. I mean, just pay attention to the ratios. They get out of value at times, and it doesn't happen every day. It could be a long-term trade. But the thing is, if you're comfortable holding those assets and you can go to sleep at night and be comfortable with whatever they are, then you can look at the ratios between those assets that you like. I like Litecoin to DigiByte. And like you said, right now, it's like one Litecoin gets you 12,800 DigiByte. But I've seen it as low as 1 to 2,000. So, I mean, if you're taking one Litecoin and getting 12, let's just say 12,000 DigiByte, and it goes to 2,000, you switch that DigiByte
You
back into Litecoin,
6x.
you get 6 back. So you made 5 Litecoin on that trade. Or you can keep the DigiByte, some of it, and keep some of the Litecoin, whatever you want to do. But the thing is, you win either way, and you're comfortable holding those assets. It really doesn't matter, because I'm comfortable, both of them. You know, I like them both.
I am too, but the name of the game going back many years in crypto is acquire more coins.
Exactly.
That's why, the dollar price is irrelevant.
Yep.
You the name of the game is, asset divided by asset,
Yep.
trading pairs.
Yep.
So
Quit looking at their vampire casino chips, because that's all they are. You don't want to cash out into those. You want to have real assets, and the real assets going forward, digital assets. I mean, yeah, it's hard to go wrong with something like DigiByte, Litecoin. So watch those ratios, and when one is strong against the other one and the other one's ridiculously weaker, then you buy the weaker one with that stronger asset. You trade for it, and you just build back and forth that way, and you're outside of their system. Then, just like with Digi-Dollar, you'll be outside of that system and taking loans from yourself, not using, what they give you, using something innovative that is has staying power, and it's decentralized going forward.
I'm excited, man.
No, that's great. I mean, it is. Everybody
Well,
needs to check
because
it out.
and then looking into the future a bit after the Digi-Dollar launches, whenever you constrict the supply,
Hmm.
the price then goes up.
Right.
So, and the funny thing is that I look around at the different exchanges and how much these exchanges hold. Why do you think they hold so much, DigiByte?
It's a good
You know,
question. Why is that? Why are they sitting on that?
Is it because DigiByte actually runs their whole back end on those exchanges? I think so. Do they intend to sell it back to other people for a premium? I think so. Um, I don't know if other things have gone on in back rooms, closed doors. None of my business. I'm just looking at what it looks like on the surface, what I
Right.
see.
Yeah.
So, I'm not under an NDA or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just saying what it looks like from an investor's point of view.
Hmm.
So I look around, I see all these exchanges holding so much of it. I have to just question, well, why?
Yeah.
So, and then with the Digi-Dollar, are they going to lock up? How much of that supply that they hold are they going to lock up?
Right.
And then what kind of constraints does that then put on the market?
Quite a few. So at 004.004, you might want to go take it from them now and leverage yourself and be prepared for the future. That's kind of what Dave's talking about doing,
Right, and you
with
can
that
use
gold.
several different swap exchanges. There are many of them out there. Find one that has DigiByte. There are several.
Yep.
Change Now is a good one.
Yep.
Um, but most of them do swap into DigiByte,
Yeah, they do.
and you can, or you can also within the U.S. you can go to crypto.com, create an account there, and buy DigiByte as well.
Yep.
Binance US, it's on there, but my thing with Binance, okay, I refuse to give you my social. I'm
Okay.
using
Yep.
an EIN as it to start with. I'm
Yep.
not using my social.
Gotcha.
And I just refuse. And then who protects that data?
Right.
From the CCP.
Right.
So that's why I refer people to go to crypto.com instead. Not only that, when you open an account like at Binance US, you're restricted to like $100 transaction. That's it. That's all you can buy.
Yeah.
Just like Coinbase back in 2015, 2016.
Yep.
Oh wow, I'm on Coinbase. I can now invest in crypto. It's like $100. That's my maximum. That's my invest. I can now invest $100 in the crypto. Wow, great, thanks.
I know. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I can go to the casino or a strip club and blow it all.
Unlimited. They don't care.
Right?
Whatever you
But
can,
but
whip
but
out in a
once
charge
crypto's
card.
involved, oh
Yeah.
well, for your protection, right?
Sure it is. Sure. I saw today, I got a notification, what Watcher Guru, one of
Yeah,
those accounts that said that Coinbase at the time you were unable to buy, sell,
and withdraw.
trade or withdraw, yeah, crypto. I don't know how long that lasted, what the reason was, but that's, you see that all the time. So if you got it sitting on there, you can't even use it.
Well,
That's
and
you want to
that's
put it in
where
your wallet
well
so you can use
that's
it.
where the like Trace Mayer with the not your keys, not
Yep.
your coins. That's where that originated from. That was back in the Mt. Gox era, like
Yeah.
Da Vinci J15, where he got recognized for saying, I don't trust Mt. Gox. I don't trust any third party. I'd rather just withdraw it and keep it on my own wallet. And look at how he turned out. He did all right.
Yep.
Meanwhile,
He
you
did.
had other people. Roger Ver came out. That's where he went from Bitcoin Jesus to Bitcoin Judas.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Say he came out and said, "Oh no, everything's fine, everything's great," and it's like I saw Nancy Pelosi running the streets of California at the start of COVID. I'm like, are you nuts?
Right. Gavin Newsom eating dinner with no mask in a fine restaurant. Oh, okay. All right. I see how this works. Yeah.
Right. Rules for thee, but no rules for me, but not for thee. Right.
Yeah. It's quite a circus, quite a show that they put on, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
just get out of it, you
same
know.
circus, different clowns.
Pretty much. Yeah, different makeup. Right. Right on.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we've witnessed so many exchanges over the years go down. Whether it be, let's see, let's go back. Let's say Mount Gox, Quadriga,
Cripsy. Remember
Cryptopia. Yeah, I remember
Cryptopia,
Cryptsy.
Cripsy, yeah, Big Vern.
Yeah, FTX. It's like
Yeah. Celsius,
well, Celsius
which
was
wasn't really an exchange, but
right, but I threw that out there from the jump back in 2019 at World CryptoCon in Vegas. I was telling everyone, I'm like, how do you get yield from a non-yield bearing asset?
exactly.
Oh, well, you just don't know how crypto works, and it's based
Loans.
on this. And I'm like,
Loans.
well, who backs it? And here with
Yeah.
Digi-Dollar, you back it.
Right.
So it's within your own wallet, your own coins back it.
No.
I don't have to rely on a third party to then rug pull me. So,
Exactly. No, that's the key. That's the whole idea of cryptocurrency that I think we've lost the spirit of. I mean, just go read the abstract of the Satoshi white paper, and it's something that is outside the purview, the control of a central bank, a government, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system between person to person, peer-to-peer. And we forget about that, and everybody's excited about, ooh, we can buy it on an ETF now, or great, we have stable coins. That's wonderful. But the thing is, you don't have possession of the coins. You're relying on somebody else. It's just like putting cash in the bank. You try and get your cash out, and you say, well, that's my money, I want it out. And they're like, no, it isn't. It's a Federal Reserve note. It's not yours. It doesn't have your name on it. You don't
and
control it.
the other thing people need to be aware of is that the amount of coding that has gone on within DigiByte is just phenomenal. Flawless, actually. I mean, of course, everything is run on a peer review before it's released into the wild, but on the test net, different things running, by it. Well, envision this, imagine this. Okay. Jared's been using AI now for many, many years, and these other crypto projects are now coming out saying, oh, well, now we can get AI to code. Really?
Mhm.
Really? What's the outcome? Because shit in equals shit out.
Right.
Okay. So, and what you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other. And if one part of that equation is false, then the entire equation is false. So, like I said, you get out of it what you put into it. So the wording, the structure, everything about it. But yet, what has come about, what has transpired from DigiSwarm is 64 AI agents have now have now completed many different projects and have now finished over 4 years of code, hundreds of thousands of lines of code in under 3 months.
Wow.
4 years in 3 months. So where does Moore's law put us
Yeah.
shortly? I mean, with a super high IQ, over 200 IQ on these different AIs. So where does that then put us? So,
Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
look at development. I look for different things in a project that I'm an investor of. I look for those different things. Like I've been hearing about, scaling Ethereum since 2016 with
Right.
Omisiko. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever happened with that?
Yeah. Go look at the look at that one.
Right. And all of these others is just like, but that's why there's really no set date yet for release. However, on Digi-Dollar, 8 of 8 um, implementations are working. So, and it's just for me, it's a beautiful thing to see. We've got just to try to beat it up. You know,
Yeah.
I welcome it. Just go try to beat it up. Try to figure out how you can. I can't figure. It's beyond me. So
And then that's live on the test net right now that you can
correct.
go try it out. Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, digibyte.io / Digi-Dollar. But everything about DigiByte you can go learn at digibyte.io. And
Yeah. There's a lot of content out there.
yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And same thing with Digiscope. I don't know. Maybe I'll reach out to like Johnny Law in a day or two, see if he's available in the next week or whatever. To go further through Digiscope to explain that to a lot of people as well. Because, the more that we put out here, the more that people are going to grasp the different things that have been worked on for quite a while. See, while everyone else has just been selling hype
Yep.
and bullshit,
Yep.
on Digibyte, we've been working. So we've been busting ass in code. So, I think there's going to be a time where when people reflect back on fundamentals and decentralization, and, there are only a few projects.
No, I agree.
So, and
No, I agree.
Digibyte is the main one right now that has my interest. And that's why I'm wanting to share and do a couple of videos, get it out there to explain to people that, it's not a fly by night thing, that so much has been built out with some other stuff that's coming that is really cool. So, but man, just the ability to take profit
Yep.
and pay 0% in capital gains because it's a loan to yourself. Like I said, dude, that 26 Bitcoin, what's that worth today?
Yeah.
At 100,000, it was worth 2.6 mil.
Mm-hmm.
And I paid off $20,000 worth of credit card debt
Right.
on stupid shit. Stupid shit. It's like stuff I could have done without, easily done without. And I ended up blowing 26 Bitcoin on that. But like I said, back then, who knew? But imagine a day where I could do that and still be able to have access to that 26 Bitcoin at $1,200.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Well,
It
that's the
really is.
beauty, and that's the point of Digi-Dollar.
Yep. No, I agree.
So that way you don't have to sell your asset.
Yeah, you don't. That's the thing. We got to start thinking differently, more innovative here with the technology that exists. And I like that that's what DigiByte does. And like you said, yeah, there's a lot being done. It's not just, a bunch of influencers pumping, a coin and getting out there and hyping you up. And, oh, look, this is going to do this. This is going to do that. How many times we see that since 2017, all these great ideas and no implementation, just selling a story is really all it is.
Right.
And then they raise a bunch of money and run off with it. Well, that's the thing about decentralized networks, decentralized cryptocurrencies. It's a grassroots effort to where people contribute and build it. They're not out there fleecing people, through the whole FOMO of influencers to get into something with the hype that, oh, it's going to do something. No, like you said, the work's actually being done by people who want to see a better future, want to see decentralization work, are tired of basically playing in a vampire casino that these criminals have created for us, and that's really why I love it. I love the decentralized networks like DigiByte, Litecoin, of course, but DigiByte's really exciting right now. It really is, and as undervalued as it is, just like Dave's talking about, get that undervalued asset with anything that's basically anything at this point, compared to it is overvalued because Digibyte's so undervalued. So yeah, take that gold coin or that gold bar and look what you get for it and watch this experiment play out. Dave will be
Right.
back with an update on that one. Watch.
Right. Well, and I would love to put it in the DEX just as a limit sell order at 20
Yeah.
cents.
That'd be cool. Just let it
Right.
sit there and just wait.
So just a thought, but I do want to leave people with this as far as with DigiByte, the amount of coding that has gone on. Think of this as well. So 4 years of coding got done in 3 months' time. Think of this: 64 AI agents, each that can deploy, and just say 10 workers, if you will. So that's 640 developers, if you will, times $80,000 annual is what a developer normally makes. So we don't have to have a $10 million fund every year just to fund developers anymore. Now we can operate beyond that level.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, utilizing the technology that's out there and for the good.
Right. So I mean the developers that, where the one crypto has, just say, 1,000 developers at $80,000 annual. I mean, you're talking stupid money at that
Yeah.
point as far as what they have to spend.
Yeah.
And DigiByte has eliminated that, and we're able to supersede, if you will, that amount of development. So a lot of cool things are soon to come.
I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm liking the on sale price. That's for sure.
Right.
It's
Well,
insane.
that's the whole deal. So yeah, right now, 1 ounce gold bar. So $5,000. I'm illustrating now how to turn $5,000 into $250,000 again, because a lot of people also don't realize 2017 DigiByte had a 280x return. 2021 DigiByte had a 51x return. What's there going to be this time? I don't know, but I'm hopeful for 20 cents. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, that's completely realistic.
Well, and that's to all the naysayers that say, well, DigiByte doesn't move. It doesn't, the price, it doesn't move. It does move. You're just not paying attention.
Yep.
So,
no, I agree.
and I'm in it for the 4 year cycle.
Right.
That's what I've always played. I'm not looking at it tick by tick, day by day, looking at Blockfolio, 20 times in a day.
You're not following the 1 minute chart?
No. No, that's not a healthy way to live.
No, it isn't. You're right.
So neither is margin. So never trade on margin.
No.
Well, is there anything else that you want to go over or cover? Any other questions on DigiByte or Digi-Dollar? Or I haven't even looked at the chat. I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of glancing at it. I think Marky had a request or a question earlier about what happens since you have to use this in your core wallet, the DigiByte core wallet. What happens if that crashes? You lose your seed phrase. You know, you're basically like any other time, right? I mean, you're
Well,
self-custody.
first thing is whenever you
Oh, you wouldn't.
create a wallet, a core wallet, you always make 3 backups. So you want to have it stored to a thumb drive and separate hard drives within your computer. So that way, like she just said, in case your computer crashes and you need to just wipe it out and reinstall Windows 11,
Yep.
now you don't lose everything because well, here again, I don't. I'm not certain of the seed phrase.
Yeah, on a core wallet.
BIP39, I don't think it has seed phrase to it. It's just a .dat file.
Yeah, the
So
wallet
you need to
file.
copy that .dat file like minimum 3 times.
Yep.
Also, you can just store it on a separate hard drive, a thumb drive, just pull it right out of your computer. Just, in the instance, you have to wipe your computer and reinstall Windows, whatever. But yeah, always create a backup for a backup because 3 is 2 and 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep, always back up your wallets. You're talking self-custody here, because we are not allowing these controllers to control our energy, so we have to preserve it in the best possible way. So yeah, back up everything that you have, and that's the key here.
but yeah, to Marky's point, the BIP39 was the introduction of the seed phrase.
Yep.
So that's why a lot of people think about Satoshi's wallet. And sorry to tell y'all, but it's not all held in one wallet.
Right.
Satoshi created a new wallet with every block that he found. And then that was back when we used something called encryption. We didn't use seed phrases.
Right.
So you can't find a seed phrase and crack Satoshi's wallet. That's completely and utterly false. But that seed phrase can be imported to any other wallet that recognizes BIP39.
Yep.
So like Coinami or
Right.
whomever, you can just take your seed phrase and import that seed phrase into any other wallet that uses BIP39, the seed phrase. So it's not like just on one wallet, but yeah, back in the day we didn't have BIP39.
Nope.
It was like,
Public keys,
is that a
private
capital
keys.
O or a 0? And
Exactly.
it's
You're
like,
typing it
back,
out, and I know.
well, back in that day, it was the way a blind man did crypto was Control C to copy,
Yep.
Control V to paste, and Control A to select all
Yep.
under Notepad. And that's how I went back and forth from exchanges, wallets, everything.
Right. That's the same thing. Same thing I did. Yeah. That's that way, because you start typing that stuff in, and inevitably you're gonna make a mistake on one of those letters. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So it was a little rougher then. You had to pay
Were there any
attention.
other? I can't read the comments
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
while we're live. Are there any other questions or anything from the audience that they might have?
Yeah, let me glance through here again real quick. I was kind of trying to keep up. You can always go to digibyte.io. That is the place for all this information. I'm kind of going through here. Mostly comments, no specific questions that I see. A lot of good people, DigiByte fans in here, rightfully so. No, I mean, looks like we probably kind of covered it. Who wrote the Digi-Dollar white paper? Is the question.
That's a very good question. It was introduced and peer reviewed. Who it was, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
But it's sort of like there was a Satoshi for DigiByte, who came out with AutoCrypt and the real-time difficulty adjustment. And also introducing the 5 algorithms and being able to work on 4 while replacing 1. So that everyone is a volunteer within DigiByte. Who they are is not important. You can create a DigiByte improvement proposal and remain anonymous if you wish. But it must be peer reviewed before it is approved. So,
Yeah.
But I guess that's it, man. I'm
Yeah.
just
I mean, I think it was good. I mean, I like what you're doing with the showing the undervalued assets being acquired. You know, after assets have become more valuable to you, things that you've held, they've gone up in value. So you're looking for the undervalued assets. I mean, that's how you build wealth. I mean, it's not chasing things as they're going up. It's when you buy it is the key. Buying it at the right price is the key to doing things right. And so I think DigiByte at this price, hard to go wrong, brother. Hard to go wrong.
yeah.
No, that's good. But yeah, go to digibyte.io, get some information on this stuff. And like you said, Dave, you might have a few more videos like this and maybe bring in some other people about DigiByte stuff. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, I think that's needed. So
I think
yeah, I
so.
want to do
It's
that.
helpful, very helpful. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it's been cool. I guess I'll talk to you a little later. I'm gonna go ahead
Okay.
and end the stream here.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
yeah, if y'all would just hit the like button and share this,
Yeah.
get it out there. And well, any questions, just put them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them, or at least forward that message to someone who can. So with that, I thank y'all for showing up, and y'all have a good one. Go make it a day.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it.